Magna Carta of Women at 10, Empowering Filipino Women. Based directly on international law and commitments such as the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, the MCW is a comprehensive women's human rights law that seeks to eliminate discrimination through the recognition, protection, fulfillment, and promotion of the rights of Filipino women, especially those belonging in the marginalized sectors. For the past decade of the MCW and the BPfA Plus 25 Philippine Progress Report of 2014 to 2019, the Philippines has been implementing programs and initiatives that guarantee women's participation and protection in the country. 1. Protection from violence. Violence against women's deaths were established to fully address VAUC cases. As a result of these efforts, VAUC cases reported to PNP WCPC have consistently decreased, particularly during the second half of the decade. More health facilities catering to VAU cases have been established. Several laws protecting women from violence were also passed, such as the Safe Spaces Act, expanded Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act, and repealing the crime of premature marriage. 2. Women and environment. National policies, laws, and plans were mainstreamed with gender to ensure protection and security of women in times of disaster and other crisis situations. With the DSWD, UNFPA, and LGUs, hygiene kits have been provided and women-friendly spaces that protect women and children have been established, along with other programs that strengthen the role of women in shaping environmental protection. Programs to strengthen the role of women in shaping environmental protection and climate-resilient policies and practices were implemented as well. 3. Participation and representation. Women dominate the total personnel in the career service and second-level posts, while in the non-career service and third-level posts, men still outnumber women, but the gender gap has been narrowing for the past years. The Senate came close to attaining a 50-50 gender balance in terms of newly elected officials, with 5 women and 7 men winning in the recently concluded 2019 elections. In the provincial, city, and municipal level, the women remain outnumbered by men, although the percentage of female elected officials slightly improved over the past 2 elections. Female judges in the lower courts have been increasing since enactment of the MCW, from 28% in 2009 to 49% in 2019. With the sustained and strengthened efforts of the judiciary, the 50-50 gender balance is not an impossible feat to achieve. Women are also making significant strides in gaining key positions in the Philippine National Police, Philippine military, and in various international institutions and organizations. Better opportunities for women to excel in sports were provided, which resulted in the increased participation of women and girls, including indigenous women, women with disabilities, and other marginalized groups from the far-flung areas in competitive sports. 4. Women and education. Another milestone is the passage of RA 10931, supporting universal access to quality tertiary education by providing free tuition and other school fees in SUCs, LUCs, and state-run technical vocational institutions, along with other guidelines that aim to integrate the principle of gender equality in the education system. Along with this, guidelines that aim to integrate the principle of gender equality in the basic education and strengthening the implementation of anti-sexual harassment law were also issued. 5. Women's right to health. The Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Law was passed and helped increase the number of women using modern family planning methods and transform their behavioral aspect towards their husbands. Women needing care for post-abortion complications are also ensured for a humane and non-judgmental treatment and counseling. Other landmark laws that impact women and girls' health include the Expanded Breastfeeding Act of 2010, the National Health Insurance Act of 2013, the Philippine HIV and AIDS Policy Act of 2018, the National Mental Health Law of 2018, the First 1,000 Days Act of 2019, and the Universal Health Care Law of 2019. 6. Social protection. The Batas Kasambahay Act protects the welfare of domestic helper in the country, provided several benefits, and increased the enrollment of kasambahay in the social security system. The Anti-Mail Order Spouse Act was also enacted against unscrupulous foreign nationals. The Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program ties cash incentives with the women's gender needs, while other programs such as Kalahi Seeds and DILP improve the access of women to resources, trainings, and related services. The government also protects Filipinos in their twilight years through a gender-responsive health insurance program as well as social pension. 7. Women and the economy. Laws and programs that support the provision of decent work conditions to women were issued. The Gender-Responsive Economic Actions for Transformation of Women project of the Philippine Commission on Women and Canada has also been implemented. Republic Act No. 10151 allows women to render work late at night and provides free health assessments. Several skills and entrepreneurship development for returning women migrant workers have also been provided. 8. Women in Peace and Development. The Philippines is the first country in Asia to adopt a national action plan on women, peace, and security, which serves as the response of the Philippines to various international instruments on women, peace, and security. The NAP-WPS incorporates the prioritization of conflict prevention, framing women, peace, and security from a human rights perspective, participation, and leadership of women in all levels of the peace project, transitional justice, inclusive and participatory localization efforts, combating extremism by supporting women peace builders, multi-level and multi-stakeholder approach to implementation and financing initiatives aimed at materializing women, peace, and security. The support to women's meaningful participation in the peace process resulted in Miriam Coronel Ferrer, who led the Philippine government's team in peace negotiation with the MILF, remains to be the first and only woman chief negotiator in history to sign a major peace accord. Women additionally comprised 33% of negotiators. 2 out of the 4 government negotiators, Yasmin Busran Lao and Froilin Mendoza, and 1 of the 5 MILF delegates, Riza Hajuri. Women represented 25% of the total signatories to the final agreement, served as advisors on both the government and MILF teams, and led by the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, Teresita Jing Deles. In the recent Marawi siege, the hijab troopers that assisted the displaced families. The presence of women in the composition of Bangsamoro Transition Authority, comprising 16.33% of the total membership. The PCW OPAPP JC 2014-01 provides specific guidelines to implement NAP-WPS, which shall be integrated in the annual GPBs and GAD-ARs of concerned agencies. 9. Women and Media. The Gender Fair Media Guidebook is a practical reference for the media in recalibrating their practice to promote gender sensitivity in all their core processes, including conceptualization, creation, presentation, and distribution of media products. The Optical Media Board and the Movie and Television Review and Classification have strengthened their efforts to fight women and child pornography through the confiscation of pornographic materials. Major television networks were also required to undergo gender sensitivity seminars. Similarly, the Tourism Promotions Board directed its advertising agencies to produce promotional and campaign materials that are gender sensitive. 10. Institutional mechanisms. The Philippine Commission on Women has initiated measures to ensure gender mainstreaming in different agencies through the time-slice plans, the Gender Mainstreaming Monitoring System, local learning hubs, regular GAD briefings, training, and seminars, and the GAD Timpala Awards and Incentive System. The Commission on Audit issued policies which increased the percentage of compliance of government agencies in the submission of GAD plans and budgets and GAD accomplishment reports. COA has also started to shift its focus from financial and compliance audits to performance audit of programs, including those of GAD. The Commission on Human Rights acting as GAD Ombud, created the Center for the Gender Equality and Women's Human Rights, developed the tool to monitor the implementation of the MCW, conducted a national inquiry on reproductive health, established the Gender-Based Violence Observatory, and continuously receives and investigates cases involving women. Now, how do we say that a woman is empowered? It is when she is able to participate to and benefit from an environment that values her contribution, respects her dignity, and treats her equally with men.